Time to get these babies ready. As you can see, they got a lot more arch than the ones that were in the Suburban, if you saw any of the episodes on those. For the record, stock square body Chevy ones are actually fairly flat and actually curve the opposite way. So if you're ever wondering if it's got a slight curve out and you're like, oh, how much does this thing lift it? Yes. Unless it curves the other way, it's lifted. This one I think is about a 6-inch. I did the math on the truck. Truck had like 15 inches of lift, minus the body lift, minus the blocks, blah, blah, blah. This is about 6 inches. I won't be using all of this sketchy garbage here. I'll probably here. Might leave one of these. Yeah, I think I'll leave one of these just kind of as an overload. And then get rid of this much. I'll probably keep the shim, especially since I mean that will screw with my caster a little bit, but I do plan on making maybe a little bit longer of a shackle just to give it a little bit more flex. A lot of these, this one's probably, you can see it's hit here many times because the shackle's not that long. So plan to make the shackle a little longer, which will bring the angle down, and then this will correct that. That looks better, and it's probably safer. Get rid of all that crap in there. Bolt's still a little long, but that's fine. I don't plan on reusing these. I'll probably just use it all for mock-up, and then once I make sure it all works, I'll take it back apart and put a proper bolt in, probably paint all these. But for now, I just want to get it all together. I say that, but I'll probably end up just reusing this because I'm lazy. Little side-by-side comparison. And now that I've done one of them, I'm going to show you guys how to do the other, now that I'm a super expert at it. This is different. Yeah, now I'm a super pro just because I've done one. Although this one, now because I'm showing you guys how to do it, it will be super horrible. It will go completely wrong. Oh well. Step one. Step one. Get some C-clamps on there. Get them as close to the bolt as possible. When you undo the bolt, there is a lot of kinetic energy in here, and sometimes, especially with custom homemade spring kits like this, this one is bent way more than this one, and it touches at the ends but curls out like half an inch in the center. So there's a lot of pressure up against them, and this bolt it's got a lot of pressure on it, so we want to try to relieve that. And like I said, get them as close as possible. There's no sense putting it out here. That's doing nothing. Probably in here would have been too close, and they're too short for that anyway, so I just put them there. The other one, I actually put them out here, and it worked fine. But there was still a little bit of pressure, so hopefully here with this one, it works a little better this way. Now I'm going to take that nut off. WD-40 is recommended, but I didn't really do that with this one, so I'm not going to do this one. I'm going to do everything exactly the same, and hopefully it comes out exactly the same. Okay, so step 2, remove the nut. I just did that, and actually I got this nice and tight on here, and nothing really has attacked me or separated. So now we move on to step 3. We remove these nice and slowly. See, look at that separation in all these. They're all kind of all over the place. All those springs were pushing up against that nut. And now it actually, you can't even see it. You're gonna need the sequence to put it back together. Now we're gonna try to pry all these apart. Take out what we don't want, put back what we do want. Measure the bolt to figure out how long to cut it down, or to buy a new one. Recommend buy a new one. But like I said earlier, just test fitting it with these, and then I'll probably get lazy and just leave them in. So we're gonna take this apart, we'll measure the bolt, and then we'll go cut it. Little side note, it's kind of obvious, but some people might not see it that way. It's important to get these both the same, or at least very close to each other, or you're gonna have a bad time. Now, because those are all rusted on, I'm just going to give this a little tap. Did you guys see me miss there? That was awesome. And now I'm going to use my awesome punch. I mean, if it's the wrong tool and it does the job, is it really the wrong tool? Took out all the crap we don't want. Now time to measure the bolt. Now, what I did for the first one was I put the bolt through, clamped it all together, and then measured how much I needed to take off roughly. This one, because I already have one here, I'm just gonna put it, oh, I brought that bolt backwards. There we go. Ooh, look how straight that thing is. That's awesome. I'm just gonna put it like that, mark it with some tape. Step number, I lost count. It's step number this. Now supposedly don't ever do what I just did and clean on the side of the wheel. People get upset when you do that. I've been doing it for like a decade. Used to do it daily with 1,000 pieces. Never had a problem. You do you. Alright, now since we're using old bolts and they got all this crap in here, I gotta clean them up a little bit, or we're gonna have some problems. I'm gonna use my favorite tool, yay. This one I will be wearing all my safety gear. I'm just gonna give that a little clean up. And if you don't have a vise, it's okay, neither do I. But I've got this awesome portable workbench. Oh yeah, she's nice and terrible. Kind of screws up the threads a little bit, but man, look how bent that thing is. That's just wow. And I'm gonna put that back in there. Okay. Next step is to put it all back together. We're gonna put this in as far as we can and then clamp them down. All tight, ready to release the clamps, and then she's done. There, done. Complete. Matches the other one, except for that over there. And they're ready to go into the truck. Well, I take all this stuff off, so almost ready, but at least this part's done. They're not sketchy lift block things anymore, and we can move on to the next step. And yeah, there you go. There's a simple leaf spring put together, which you can get more complicated than that. You can play with spring rates, take out thick springs, put in thinner ones, out thinner ones, put in thicker ones, put longer ones in, ones with more arch, blah, blah, blah. There's probably a lot of science to it that I don't know. I've played with a few. I lifted my Jeep. Now, if you're thinking, but Jeeps don't have leaf springs, then fuck you. You don't have a real Jeep. Real Jeeps have leaf springs. Anyways, yeah, I put some Chevy springs in the front, but I used the Jeep main leaf, and I cut them down. Same with the rear, I used the main leaf, and then I used some Chevy springs, cut them down, and it lifted it a little bit, re-arched them, because they were pretty saggy. They were sagging upwards when they're not supposed to. It was like lowered 1.5 inches, which is no good. And then by the time I was done, it was raised like 1.5 inches. Rode like a tank. I could have probably put the spring rate down a little bit, but yeah, they worked pretty nice. I made my own little brackets for the end here. A lot of off-road guys put longer ones so it allows a lot of droop, and then because when it droops, you're only on top spring. I'm not a big fan of doing that. I left a little bit in my Jeep ones. Yeah, you might have to buy some bigger bolts. But that's the basic of it, and don't be scared to play around. Just keep it safe.